Hey, good morning. What I wanted to do today was talk about the very important selection board process. What you can do as an applicant to get selected, how to improve your chances, and how that connection works with the officer selection officer, and how it works with the district or region that's going to select you. So what I like to do first is kind of tell you how that process looks like, so you can have an idea as a candidate what the selection board's doing. So what's happening, you're going to have about 7 or 8 either field grade officers, or if it's a POC board, you're going to have some captains in there. And what happens is they're going to go to a screen in a computer, and they're going to look at some of your stats. So they're going to look at your PFT score, they're going to look at your GPA, they're going to look at your major, they're going to look at some of the brief accomplishments that the OSO has put on there. They're going to look at letters of recommendation. Keep this in mind though. Each applicant, the selection board member is probably looking at your stuff for about a minute. So he's just a quick glimpse, hitting those key stats. At that point, the member votes. They put a number next to the academic portion, next to the leadership portion, and next to the physical fitness portion. And essentially, however many slots they need is how many they take based off of that scoring system. But what I want to talk to you about today is what you can do as a candidate to improve your chances of selection. At least for the Orange County office, what we have is called board notes. What board notes are, it's a sheet of paper that a candidate does. They put together, and what I do with this piece of paper, I give it to the person that's briefing my candidate. So, like I mentioned earlier, in the process that the field grades officers or the officers are looking at the screen, there's also a member that's briefing you. So, for example, everybody's looking at candidate John Smith. One guy is actually talking about you while the board members are looking at your screen, okay? So that one person that's talking about you, it's my job as an OSO to deliver him a product that he's going to use to best sell you as the applicant. So what does that product consist of, okay? So one is high school activities. What I tell my guys is not so much what you did while you were in high school, but what you did during your high school years. So take, for example, Boy Scouts. If you did your Boy Scouts during your high school years, put it on there. Volunteer service, if it was during the high school years, put it on there. You cannot be humbled. You cannot be humbled or during this period of the board notes. High school, think of anything you've done, academics, physical. If you want an award for something, describe what that award is. The selection board does not know what the John Brown Award is, but if you put it was a John Brown Award for leadership, put it on there. If you were MVP, if you were for a game, if you were a team captain, if you were any type of support in a club, put it all on there. Fill it up as much as you can. Let the OSO clear out what he thinks is best and whatnot. But for you, I encourage you to fill that up as much as you can with your high school activities. The next one is college activities. And even though some of you guys that are watching this are freshmen or sophomores, and you think you don't have that much as far as your college years, think outside of college, right? Think about those years. Think about the years after you graduated high school up to a certain point where you're at in college. What have you accomplished? Have you been to any clubs? Have you done any type of volunteer service? Put it all on there. If you're in sports, and if you haven't done those things, you still have time. Get involved in these type of activities. Get involved in sports. Get involved in clubs. Get involved in all these activities to make your package a little bit stronger. So now we have the high school section, and now we have the college section. So same principle. The selection board, they like looking at athletes. They like looking at leadership. If you're a college graduate, if you have a master's or you're pursuing a master's, that carries a lot of weight for the selection board. The third thing they look at is work history. What I tell you right now is it's kind of, it says work history, but nobody cares about how many jobs you've held. If anything, that's counterproductive. Work history, what I tell my guys is I want you to describe 1, maybe 2 at most, jobs where you've held a large amount of responsibility, you were in charge of people, and describe that. I'll give you an example. I had a kid that was that he worked at a fast food restaurant, and he didn't think that his job was competitive. But what he did is he broke it down. I sat down with him and we broke down. He was in charge of money. He was in customer service, and we knew how to sell that. And yes, he was selected for Officer Candidate School. But again, any job that you've held, it doesn't have to be a paid job. A job is a job, even if it was a volunteer job. Put it on there. You were on a mission trip and you helped build houses. Well, what do? You use that as volunteer or as a job? It's really up to you. The selection board doesn't look at that and determine whether it was a paid job or volunteer service. It doesn't matter. Put whatever was strength you have as far as work, put it into work history and describe it. That's what I'm looking for on that block. Now we go into the volunteer service. I know I mentioned volunteer service for the high school and the college portion of it. However, for the volunteer service block, I want you to hit the most important volunteer service that you can think of and describe that. It's almost similar to the work history. So if you did mission trips, feed the homeless, big brothers, big sisters, anything you've done with the Boy Scouts, put 2 or 3 things on that column and sell those instead of volume. The volume, I want it more in the high school and the college years. Volunteer service is more of the quality. So that's that. Those are 4 key things the selection board looks at. The other thing they're looking at is the letters of recommendation. So now the OSO's job is to gather the best ones and summarize them for the selection board. So now selection board's looking at key details or key notes that people are putting about you and describing your leadership skills and your abilities and your potential to serve as a Marine officer. The final thing that goes into a selection board, and in my personal opinion and from my experience is the most important one, is the OSO's write-up on you. I can tell you I've had individuals with very low GPAs get selected. I've had individuals with not so strong letters of recommendation selected. And again, it's all about what the OSO writes on you. So again, what do you do to improve on that? Well, communicate with the OSO. What does he want? What are his expectations of you as a candidate? And perform up to that level or even higher and ask him, sir, what do I need to do to be your number 1 candidate? You can do that. If I was a candidate, I would do that. Why? Because I want the OSO to rank me number 1 out of that class. Again, when we're ranking as far as what I think is of importance, OSO's write-up is the number 1 thing, and then you're looking at your PFT. A good OSO is not going to rank a low PFT or as number 1 candidate. That's just not how it works. Usually the number 1 candidate's either top 2, 3, or the top candidate for the PFT. They go kind of hand in hand. Everything else after the OSO's write-up and after your PFT is kind of weighed evenly. College, high school, volunteer service work, and whatnot. The other thing I'm going to tell you that's going to make your package strong for selection is all the others, right? Things that really don't fit into any category, such as some adversity you faced. I've had people with single mothers that support themselves through college. Doesn't have to be a soft story, but it could be. Anything that you've done that doesn't fit into any of those categories that you think makes you a stronger candidate than everybody else that's competing for these slots, put it on there. Again, don't humble yourself. You have to really dig in, think deep of what you've accomplished in your life, and put that and sell that to the OSO. Now, a good candidate should kind of talk to the OSO and sit with him and come up with this, because I've seen plenty of good candidates throughout my career and throughout the OSO duty. Quality, I'm talking about good PFTs, good GPAs that don't really understand how this works and just kind of let the OSO, they hurried up with the application, they just kind of put whatever, the OSO just copies off of that, and the individual's not selected. And otherwise they should have, because they're very qualified. But they just didn't know how to shape this. Obviously, there's other things that I do here in the office, just from my experience that it's not timed yet, but almost like that TV show, the magician that gives all his secrets. I'm not at that point yet, but soon enough I'll do that. But if you do have any questions as far as how do I make my package stronger for selection, or what I can do to influence that, by all means, just comment below or hit me up at my email. It's my first name, carlos.dubon, D-U-B-O-N, @marines.usmc.mil, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Again, to summarize, GPA, PFT, it is what it is. You got what you got, but you can't control your high school activities. You can't control your college activities, work history. We're looking at volunteer service, letters of recommendation, your OSO's write-up. You combine all those, there's not a reason why you're not an officer candidate school, whatever class you want to be. That's all I have for you. Thank you.